Predictions, one of the favorite terms that gets thrown around the sealed Pokemon investing hobby. In this video, I'm going to look at the whole first half of Scarlet and Violet era and give you some predictions on where I see the booster boxes and the elite trainer boxes going in the future. This is a two-part series, so there'll be two parts to this video. We're going to go S&V base all the way through to Twilight Masquerade in this video, and then we're going to pick up, of course, and finish with Black and White era in the second video. So there is all of 8 sets to go over, including booster box sets and holiday sets, what their current prices are, and where I see them going in the future. Now, this is a really good video for those of you that are holding on to Scarlet and Violet sealed product, and also perhaps thinking about still investing in some Scarlet and Violet product. Even though we've moved into, of course, the new Mega Evolution series, Scarlet and Violet product is only going to get older and older. And as we know, with time, there is literally not one sealed product that Pokemon has ever bought out from the trading TCG, whether it's booster boxes, elite trainer boxes, Pokemon Center elite trainer boxes, even sleeved booster packs. There is not one that has actually decreased in value. Now, some are better bets than others, so some are better investments than others. And let's see where I think they will go in the future. So let's start off with Scarlet and Violet base. Everything will come up on the screen here. It's all from the collector app, which I'll talk through shortly. But I'm just going to show you what current set price is, essentially, and what I think it compares to. So Scarlet and Violet base, what is it going to be like? What's a set from the past that Scarlet and Violet is going to be like? And we can look at the price from that set in the past, and it's going to give us a bit of an indication on where this current set is going. Now, I get it. There's so many different discrepancies that can get thrown into the mix. Like, modern cards are printed more than previous cards. A lot more people are keeping sealed product. A lot more people are taking raw cards straight out of the packs and sleeving them and sending them off and getting graded, so we're getting higher graded populations. I get all that. There's discrepancies, but there's also lots of similarities. And one of the biggest similarity comes from this total set value. And then also total set value really stems from predominantly the top 5, or in some cases, if it's a really deep set, the top 10 chase cards inside a set. And I think we can make very clear comparisons there between S&V base and something else. So if you look at S&V base, it's probably, I think definitely it's better than a Sword and Shield base, but I don't know if it's too much better than Sun and Moon base. So that's probably something I would compare it to. S&V base has a very similar total set value from Sun and Moon base, and as a result, it has very similar valued top 5 chase cards. You have that, well, Sun and Moon base actually has a Rainbow Umbreon inside it, which doesn't get a whole heap of love considering it's an Umbreon card. We know probably how unfavorable maybe Rainbow cards were. Not a lot of people love them. Maybe it didn't take off for the TCG like they thought. Certainly didn't take off as well as old arts from Sword and Shield era, and certainly didn't take off as well as illustration rares or special illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet era. But there's definitely some comparisons to be made between S&V base and Sun and Moon. And if you look at the price of a Sun and Moon booster box, it is currently going for $727 US. Scarlet and Violet base at the moment is $244 US. Now keep in mind, Sun and Moon base came out in 2017. So if we do the sums, that is an 8-year-old set right now. So when S&V base becomes 8 years old, will it be a similar price? In my opinion, it probably will. It'll probably be somewhere around that $700 US mark in 8 years' time. So I think from that comparison, you get the gist of the video. We're going to take a modern set from Scarlet and Violet era and compare it to something in the past that resembles similar total set value, similar value of hits, and therefore probably give us a prediction to where the sealed product is going to head. Now, Paldea Evolved, this is the big one. Again, up on the screen here, you can see the hits inside. Of course, it's got that beautiful Magikarp that Shinji Kanda designed. Great artwork. A lot of depth to Paldea Evolved. And I've said this before, what does it remind me of? It reminds me a lot of, although not quite as good, but very close to it, reminds me a lot of Lost Origin. Paldea Evolved is currently $458 a booster box. Lost Origin is just over $800 US a booster box. Now, Lost Origin is not much older than Paldea Evolved. It's literally like 18 months older. So in 18 months' time, will Paldea Evolved be the same price as a Lost Origin booster box? Look, I don't think it'll quite get there, but I don't think it'll be far away. The Giratina is stronger chase card raw, and Lost Origin also has that second big chase card in the Aerodactyl. Paldea Evolved is maybe missing that. It does have the Tyranitar, it does have the Sleeping Raichu, it does have the Iono. There's lots of depth there, and you get the same depth from Lost Origin's trainer gallery. So you can see where I'm drawing the comparisons from. You've also got 2 Shinji Kanda beautiful artworks which didn't define an era, but they were one of the top 3 or 5 chase cards from an era. The Magikarp from Scarlet and Violet, and of course the Giratina from Lost Origin. PSA 10 prices for those 2 cards are also just over $2,000 US, so there's very very close comparisons with PSA 10 pricing there. So I think we'll see Paldea evolved in 18 months time, not too far off an $800 booster box, maybe a $650, maybe a $700 US booster box. The third set to be released from Scarlet and Violet era was Obsidian Flames. Pull rates become a lot easier in this. It was a much smaller set. We can see up on the screen here, the Charizard was the main chase card. Other than that, there wasn't a great deal of depth inside this set, was there? Like, it was sort of, the Charizard was it, and everything else became cheap very quickly. You know, illustration rares, like we had the Pidgey lineup, we had the Scizor, we had the Ninetales, there was a Gloom. Look, not the greatest Pokemon card set, truth be told. However, with the demand of Pokemon cards, it's already $333 US a booster box. It's gone absolutely insane. It reminds me a little bit of something like a Guardians Rising from Sun and Moon era. And keep in mind, this again was from 2017, so it's an 8-year-old set. It's currently going for $820 US. Now you compare that set to some other big sets in Sun and Moon era, like Cosmic Eclipse, Team Up, of course, even Unified Minds and Unbroken Bonds, even some of those mid-tier sets like Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm, which are going for, you know, $2,000-ish a booster box, or $1,500 to $2,000 US a booster box. You can see Guardians Rising at $820 is lagging behind those. And I think Obsidian Flames will do the same to the better booster boxes from the Scarlet and Violet era. I think it'll lag behind a little bit. So as a result, if we look at it, will Obsidian Flames be a roughly $800 US booster box when it's 8 years old? It would surprise me if it isn't. Like, with the demand for Pokemon, Charizard on the box, it's a way better set than the Fire set that came out for Sword and Shield, which was Darkness Ablaze. I think some of those illustration rares will gain a little bit of value as it goes a little bit older, and that Charizard has also picked up in price, even though it's relatively easy to pull. Now, the next one, the best set to come out for Scarlet and Violet to this date is 151. This just has nostalgia written all over it. It's a fantastic Pokemon card set. An Elite Trainer box alone is already $406 US. Insane pricing. And what does it remind me of? Okay, we've got massive chase cards. We've got all Gen 1 Pokemon. It really reminds me of the 20th anniversary set, which was Generations. In case you haven't been aware of what Generations has inside it, it has a main set, just like the 25th anniversary Celebrations has as a main set, and then what's called a Radiant collection inside there. So when you're opening the packs, you could pull main set cards, or you could get lucky and you could pull a Radiant collection card. A lot of those Radiant collection cards are worth good dollars. If we compare the total set values between Generations and 151, you get a somewhat similar total set value. There is a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon inside Generations, of course, and as a result, the pricing, I think, will be somewhat similar. Just so you know, Generations came out in 2016, so it's a 9-year-old Pokemon card set, and it's going for $2,290 US an Elite Trainer box. So will 151, when it's 9 years old, and what is it now, 2 years old? Is it about 2 years old? So in another 7 years, will it be a $2,290 US Elite Trainer box? Oof. There's every chance it will be. It's got 7 years to climb up to that price still, because Generations is 9 years old. I think there's a lot of similarities to be drawn between those two Pokemon card sets. Before we jump into the next four, which will give us the first half of the whole Scarlet and Violet era, I just wanted to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, which of course, the Collector app. There'll be a link in the description to download it if you don't have it. Fantastic app. There's so many new features to this app which make it so easy. You can put your whole sealed and singles collection inside there. You can follow my journey down in the content creators section. The big one is now, though, a few things. If you jump into your portfolio, you can now filter by what is performing the best for you at any given moment, which is really important when you're assessing your sealed portfolio. Moreover than that, if you click on the tab in the bottom right, you used to only be able to see how much you've spent and what your current paper value is for your whole collection. You can now, once you sell something, log in and say what you sold it for and basically put in essentially, or it'll show you what your realized gains are. And that's really, really important. So there's so many cool features. There's also a pro version, which will unlock the whole timeline of data for you across all singles and sealed product from the whole TCG. It's amazing. Awesome app. Link in the description to download it. Next set to come out after 151 was Paradox Rift. Paradox Rift booster box is currently $275 US. This isn't going to go down as one of the greatest sets of Scarlet and Violet. It's just not. It's one of those mid-tier sets in my opinion, but I think it'll gain a little bit of traction as time goes on. I wouldn't say it's a sleeper per se, but maybe it is a little bit at $275 US. What would I compare it to? I think I'd compare it to one of those mid-tier, if not slightly lower than mid-tier Sun and Moon sets, something like a Forbidden Light. Now, Forbidden Light had some decent Pokemon cards inside, and again, if you look at total set values from Paradox Rift and Forbidden Light, And if you also look at the chase cards, which will be coming up on the screen here from Paradox Rift and Forbidden Light, you'll actually see a few similarities there. You'll see similarities with these chase cards sitting around that $80 mark, that $60 mark, that $40 mark, that $30 mark, that $20 mark. You'll see them flowing through. Now, Forbidden Light came out in 2018, so it is a 7-year-old Pokemon card set. Now, with that in mind, Paradox Rift is, what, just under 2 years old at $275 US. Forbidden Light is $1,394. Will Paradox Rift get quite to that price when it's 7 years old? I don't think so. But I think it'll also surprise people a little bit with how it performs long term. I don't think it will be $1,400 in another, what, 5 and a bit years. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's over $1,000 US a booster box in 5 and a bit years. I think Paradox Rift is going to be one of those slight sleeper performers from the Scarlet and Violet era. The next set, this set has been gaining so much traction lately, it's been getting a lot of love, and that is Paldean Fates. $283 for just a general Elite Trainer box. I remember when Kmart here in Australia was like flash selling these for 59 Australian dollars, which is like high 30s, if not 40 US dollars. And now they're 283 US dollars at the blink of an eye. And of course, I don't think there's anyone better to compare it to than Hidden Fates. Both of these Pokemon card sets have strong Charizard chase card. The Paldean Fates main chase card, of course, is that Bubble Mew. There's a bunch of shinies in there, which of course Hidden Fates has. I don't think we can compare Paldean Fates to Shining Fates. It's just not in the same league. You know, Paldean Fates should be compared very strongly to Hidden Fates. Now, Hidden Fates came out in 2019, making it a 6-year-old Pokemon card set. It's currently going for $390, so pretty much bang on $400 US an Elite Trainer box. That makes it 6 years old, so when Paldean Fates is 6 years old, I can't see it not being a $400 US Elite Trainer box. In fact, it might even eclipse Hidden Fates, particularly if that Bubble Mew holds its price. It seems to be a more sought-after chase card even than perhaps that Charizard is from Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates has a lot of depth in it, like a lot. It was printed very, very heavily. I think so far, from what I can tell from Paldean Fates Elite Trainer Box print numbers, it hasn't quite been printed as heavy as what Hidden Fates has. It feels like Prismatic Evolutions is the one getting those multiple print runs, just like Hidden Fates did. So maybe Paldean Fates' lack of multiple print runs could actually help it in this case overtake Hidden Fates in the future and be a more expensive Elite Trainer Box. The next one up is Temporal Forces, $266 US a booster box. What to compare it to? I was like, I don't really know what to compare it to. It's a funny one, Temporal Forces. Like, it can't decide what its best chase card is. It just keeps swapping between them. And up on the screen here now, you can see that Ghastly is actually the #1 chase card inside here. At the start, it was the big dinosaur-looking Raikou. Look, I'm no Gen 9 connoisseur, so forgive my ignorance with some of these Pokemon, but it's funny, it just can't decide on its #1 Pokemon card, and then it's like, well, what do you compare it to? And it's like, I don't know, I think we almost have to go all the way back to Black and White era, because Black and White era Noble Victories, 2011 Pokemon card set, just to give you a comparison. And I know this is a long hold, because 2011 makes Noble Victories 14 years old, meaning you're going to have to hold Temporal Forces for just under another 13 years to make it 14 years old. But Noble Victories, its booster box price is about $2,700 US. Compare that with a lot of other Black and White era sets, so stronger Black and White era booster boxes, things like Dragons Exalted, things like Plasma Storm, things like Plasma Freeze. You're going to get heaps higher booster box prices on those booster boxes in comparison to Noble Victories, just like you're going to get high booster box prices, in my opinion, on sets like Destined Rivals and Surging Sparks compared to Temporal Forces in the future. So very long hold, but that's something I think I see it similar to down the track. And look, $2,700 for a 14-year-old booster box. What performance that is. If you bought it for $80 US or $90 US or $100 US back in 2011, you have very much outperformed nearly every other investment you could have possibly put your money into in 2011. Property, shares, etc, etc. Final one on the list, which is the first half of the Scarlet and Violet era, is Twilight Masquerade. I've spoken quite strongly about this set as a B/B plus tier set. I do think it's a slightly stronger set than Temporal Forces. I do think it's a slightly stronger set than Paradox Rift, most notably because it has a bigger chase card. You can't underestimate the importance of a really strong chase card. One really strong chase card without any depth behind it, sometimes isn't enough to hold up a Pokemon card set. Greninja is a very fan favorite Pokemon. It's going for $321 US a booster box. And I somewhat compare it to, in my opinion, something like a Silver Tempest, because Silver Tempest came out of the box as a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying Twilight's a one-hit wonder, but that Greninja was the main chase. Like that was the expensive card, just like the Lugia from Silver Tempest was the expensive card. Then you had these sort of ancillary hits from Silver Tempest. You had the Rayquaza that was sort of going for 40 bucks. You had a few other cards that were going for 20, 30 US dollars, like that Unknown alt art. And it's the same with Twilight. You had the Greninja as the big chase card, the one that everyone wanted. Then you had these few ancillary hits that were going for $50, $40, like the Eevee, etc. But look at Silver Tempest. Now that it's out of rotation, now it's out of print, now that it's done, a lot of those ancillary hits have actually pulled up in price. Like that Rayquaza now, I think, is from the trainer gallery, is like $150 US card raw. So it no longer makes Silver Tempest a one-hit wonder. You can pull a second quite strong and expensive chase card from that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Twilight Masquerade follows in the same vein, that one of these other chase cards pulls up a little bit. Now, Silver Tempest isn't much older than Twilight Masquerade. What is it? Probably 12, 15, maybe even 18 months at the absolute most older than Silver Tempest. $472 US. So I wouldn't be surprised if another 15 to 18 months time, we see Twilight Masquerade nudging that $500 US a booster box price. Cool video. Thank you for watching part 1. Part 2 will be up next, where we finish off with some heavy hitters like Prismatic Evolutions, Destined Rivals. Where are these sets going in the future as sealed products? I'm Michael. This is PokeOz. Catch everyone next time.